Welcome back to Old School New School Podcast, episode 86.
Scott and Old School.
I'm Chester and I'm New School, and today we'll be talking about the Bears.
Deep dive on the Bears. New coach, Ben Johnson, Detroit Lions offense coordinator. How do you think the spirits are of Bears fans in the Windy City?
I'm sure they're happy, but, again, like they've said for the past 3 years, whether they're off-season champs, just to go 5-12 multiple seasons in a row, is pretty, funny.
Do you think this year will be
I think this year will be different.
Okay.
But I don't think it'll be too different. Like, I don't think it'll be, a 5-win difference, and I definitely don't think they'll win the NFC North because, it's a very tough division. And all the teams keep getting better. None of the teams are really getting any worse. So I feel like, it won't be as great as Bears fans might want. They got what they need for the offense, right? Their offense was terrible. And I think another thing is, maybe the coaching will help reduce boost morale, because they were 4-2 before the Hail Mary in Washington, and then they ended the season 5-12. So, stuff like that, definitely doesn't help. So, I don't know. I think
right, but if Levis doesn't explode, they don't win.
Oh yeah, right. Will Levis, yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
well, last year, I don't know. Turning the page, new year, new coach. I think they brought in it's the first time they've brought in a new coach recently where you haven't been scratching your head being like, why did they pick that guy?
Yeah.
There's an obvious reason they picked Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
He's a really good offensive coordinator. Can he win the big game? Because he's really, in the last 2 seasons, when they had a chance,
I don't know. I feel like it's you put that a little bit more on Dan Campbell, right? You definitely have to put some blame on him too.
Sure, but he's running the play. He's calling the plays,
yes.
And
the offensive plays. But yes,
yeah. Listen, they did all the things they needed to do. They had a ton of money. They spent a ton of money. They basically have a whole new interior on the offensive line. Mm-hmm. I think they may have overpaid for 1 or 2 of the fellows, a little high up in the age range, but they did what they needed to do. They got an offensive line. He was sacked like 68 times last year, something crazy like that. Lots of weapons. They got the tight end, the kid Colston Loveland from Michigan, which everybody's like, why didn't they pick the kid out of Penn State? But when you look at the players, it made more sense. Like, he's... if you need him to block, you're in trouble. Loveland's not a blocking tight end. But if you need him to run a route like a wide receiver, apparently that's what he's trying to rebuild what he had in Detroit.
Right.
Lots of playmakers. Tight end is huge importance. I'm very surprised they did not draft a running back earlier.
Right.
They drafted the kid out of Rutgers.
But,
and he was great against bad defensive, and he was absent against good defenses.
the problem,
so I don't think that kid's that great.
You definitely have to say, DeAndre Swift didn't. I think he averaged less than 4 carry. I think it was like 3.5 a carry last season. But do you put the blame completely on him? Do you put the blame on some?
The offensive line stunk.
Right, it's terrible. Maybe you got to think that the Bears are a little mad that they gave David Montgomery to the Lions, and then. Right, because that's where.
But that's
came
it's
from,
all system stuff.
Yeah.
So and that's what Ben Johnson's trying to do.
Yeah.
Bring that system in.
Yeah.
On paper, they did great.
Yeah, their team looks very good.
They had a really good draft. They brought in a lot of free agents to fill a bunch of needs. And it especially on the offensive side, they were ranked 28th last year on the offense.
Right.
Defense was ranked 13th, which I was so surprised at. It's also surprising that you only had 5 wins with that highly ranked defense.
I mean, your defense is really highly ranked with your offense. It's hard to run their offense, can't move the ball. So
that you would think that would be tougher on the defense then. If
right, but that's what I'm saying. That means your defense is even better.
Right.
Like, like your defense is up there, and you only had 5 wins. Like that offense is middle of the pack.
Yeah.
That defense might come top 5-ish. Top.
So I mean, I think they did everything they needed to do.
Yeah.
Like, I think this team can win 9 games next year.
I feel like they can, but it's also
but everything's got to go right.
Right, it has to go right. And injuries are a big part of football, and
and all these pieces need to fit.
Yeah, like all of them need to work together in a scheme. Like
we've seen in the past where teams spend a ton of money bringing all these people, and they just it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And as you said, injuries. People are going to get injured. I think Caleb Williams will be a better quarterback. Mm-hmm. He'll have more weapons. I think the biggest thing Ben Johnson's going to try to get him to do is stop holding onto the ball for so long. Because that's the big trouble you see with him, and that's why he took so many sacks, as well as the offensive line. But it doesn't help. Like he knows he knew they were coming.
Right.
First read, if he's open, throw it to. He's a little indecisive. So we'll see. Like, I don't know. I think the NFC North, that's a tough division. Like, as I said, I think I see the Bears winning 9, possibly 10 games.
Okay.
I don't know. It looks really good now.
Yeah, right.
Bears fans should be thrilled and excited for the first time in quite a while. I mean, they would start excited every season, and then 2 games in they'd not be excited anymore.
I mean, they were excited probably until week 7.
But they knew who that team was. Like,
right.
The fans knew
that
team was not that good.
Yeah, but I mean, you have all that hope,
Yeah, but they've been beaten down so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing Ben Johnson is going to learn, though, is that playing in Chicago, a lot different than playing in a dome.
Right.
In terms
you can't have as much fun with these plays.
You hear these stories about, I mean, that the stadium is right next to the lake.
Yeah.
It is crazy windy. You hear stories throughout history of quarterbacks just hating playing there because it's so difficult to be a quarterback there. I think that does not help him. Like, he's used to the super fast track. And he's going to try, the Bears don't have that. So that's going to be a huge adjustment for him in terms of what he'll be able to run.
All right. But, I mean, he was the Lions. They played in, Soldier Field. So I feel like you can't, that's I feel like that's a little bit of an overstatement.
I don't know. They play once a year there, though.
Yeah, but
it may have been
but
it may have been in September when it's super nice out.
I mean, yeah,
but November through January.
I feel like it's a really nitpicky thing to say.
I'm just saying it's a huge difference playing every game in a dome at home versus playing outside at home. It's a really big difference, especially where that stadium's located. If it's Kansas City, maybe you're not as worried about that sort of thing. But the wind plays such a factor in the way that stadium is situated.
Okay.
It's just, I don't know. That'll be a big adjustment.
Okay.
That's the Bears.
Yeah.
Anything else? I don't know. Bears, high hopes for Bears fans, I think. I mean,
I mean, there's no excuses anymore.
It's true.
There's not a single excuse that can be given because the roster is as good as it's been since, I think, in a while.
Yeah.
You have to make the playoffs, right? Or maybe not have to make the playoffs. You have to get in that 9, 10, almost double-digit win range because this team not making it there will be very disappointing. This team not making it to 9 wins might be disappointing.
With this coach,
I think with the expectation. And there's no more excuses. There's no more bad O-line. There's no more bad quarterback play. There's no more bad coach. We don't have a coach. it's the
Yeah.
team is set up now, and it's set up for win now and in the future.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you got to win now.
I agree. So that's the Bears. I don't
It is
know.
the Bears.
We'll see how it goes,
Yeah.
but right now they're looking good.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, guess so.
That's it.
Peace.
Peace.